𝐶𝐞𝐝 and a very good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the MSBS Weekly Guided Meditation by Phra Goh. Today is the 30th of April 2024. We are very grateful to have with us Bhante Adhibalo, popularly known as Phra Goh, to conduct this weekly session. This week, we are on the final leg of the revisiting of the subject of Ratana Sutta. Bhante will be leading the homage to the Buddha and taking a 5 precepts for Buddhists. Now let's compose our mind, put our palms together, and welcome Bhante. Over to you, Bhante.
Okay, thank you, Terence. Now we shall start off by paying respects to the Buddha by bowing 3 times. First bow, second bow, third bow. And we start off with the opening chant, homage. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. 3 refuges. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. 5 precepts. Pāṇātipātā vēramani sikkhapaдаṃ samadhiyāmi. Adinādāna vēramani sikkhapadaṃ samadhiyāmi. Kāmesu micchācārā vēramani sikkhapadaṃ samadhiyāmi. Musāvādā vēramani sikkhapadaṃ samadhiyāmi. Suramēraya majjapamādātāna vēramani sikkhapadaṃ samadhiyāmi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so good evening to everyone. Tonight probably is the last lesson for this Ratana Sutta. We only have like 1 paragraph remaining, and we'll probably kick off with a new topic once we finish. Yeah? So the whole idea of this Ratana Sutta is for understand the meaning of the triple gems. So all the paragraphs we read through or gone through are basically praising the qualities of the triple gem, and it is not for people to go to the temple or this Buddhist place of worship to pray and ask for 40 numbers for good health and stuff like that. So no. So the purpose of the triple gem is to inspire faith. So as devotees, we know how to reflect what's the meaning of the triple gems, how to inspire us to head on the path and eventually be part of the triple gem, be one with the triple gem, because the Sangha is also the triple gem, right? So if we eventually have the state of mind, right, become like the triple gem, then sort of merge together. So in any case, I'll just read through the last paragraph. Their old karma is destroyed, no new karma is produced, and their mind is unattached to future rebirth. Okay, so this is basically the state of an enlightened being. So either the Buddha or an Arahant. So they will not have any future rebirth. Those wise ones, with the seed destroyed and with no more desire for further growth, go out as the flame of lamp. Verily, in the Sangha is the superb jewel. By virtue of this truth, may there be well-being. So this going out like a flame of lamp is analogy being used many times. It's a metaphor, analogy used many times to reference, like where does the enlightened mind go? Somebody will ask questions, or some people will ask, where will the enlightened beings go after death? Where will the Buddha go after death? So the Buddha usually will keep silent, he won't answer, right? But as his monks or one or few of people keep asking him over and over again, so the Buddha have to sort of give some analogy. First, he give the simile of the poison arrow. Say if you give an answer, it won't solve your suffering. And he taught this particular monk about the 5 aggregates. And once he really understood the non-self aspect of the 5 aggregates, then he gave an example, right? If you were to blow off a candle, right? You extinguish the flame from a candle from the south. Let's say you blow from the south. Will the flame go to the north? No, right? If you extinguish means extinguish, like it doesn't go anywhere. And if you blow from the west, will the flame, if it extinguish, does it mean it go to the east? No, right? It's gone. So vice versa. So he gave all directions and the same thing, right? The Buddha gave these analogies. So those who understood or those who experience selflessness will not have this question, this concept of, okay, where to go after death and stuff like that. So it's meant to be experiential, So theoretically, people can guess, can come up lots of hypotheses, lots of theories on what happened to an enlightened being after death, what's their afterlife, is there like a special place for them to go and stuff like that. So no, in the case of enlightened being perspective, this question is out of question, and they probably won't try to struggle to answer even right now. I'm trying to construe ideas, may not be how do you call it, digested by everybody, or not easily accepted by everybody. Because some people insist, I must know where do I go at, or where do these enlightened beings go, right? So how to be sure this path is really correct, right? If I were to invest my time, my life into this, how to be sure I'll be safe in my afterlife, right? So people will be wondering, right? For most people, it's an essential question, but turns out, hey, if a person do experience that state of mind, the doubts will be gone. Yeah, all the doubts will be gone. So a person who hasn't experienced it, no matter how we explain, the doubt will still be there, and no, you cannot quell this. We call self personality doubt, yeah, but self identification kind of doubt. So only a person who reaches this egolessness, then they can experience this extinguishing. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so the last 3 kind of paragraphs is more like a conclusion. summary, right? Whatever beings are here assembled, whether terrestrial or celestial, let us revere the perfect Buddha honored by gods and men. May there be well-being. Whatever beings are here assembled, whether terrestrial or celestial, let us revere the perfect Dhamma honored by gods and men. May there be well-being. Whatever beings are here assembled, whether terrestrial or celestial, let us revere the perfect Sangha honored by gods and men. May there be well-being. Right, so this is supposedly spoken by this King Saka, Lord of the 33 gods. Right, so there's the conclusion of the Ratana Sutta. Any questions from the ground here before we move on to a new topic? No, everyone okay? So this recollection of triple gem is actually also part of a meditation. We call it the 6 recollections. So there's 3 of them. Think of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and you can also think of the your precepts. That's the 4th recollection, because in order to become a stream enterer, one needs to keep their precepts pure. So in a way, you can combine that in. So one can recollect on their precepts, and one can, number 5, recollect on the charitable deeds, all the good deeds they've done. Right. So that's the 5th recollection, right? In order to have merit. So whatever good deeds you've done, including chanting or listening to Dhamma talks, all these are also part of this recollection. Now, whatever you do that gladdens the mind, so that is part of this chaga, doing wholesome or meritorious deeds. And eventually the last one, recollection of the Deva. So like in this case, we have this King Saka, Lord of the 33 gods, right? Whatever celestial beings, terrestrial or celestial. So how does this recollection go? So the Buddhist way of recollecting devas is very similar to how Buddhists recollect the Buddha. You need to think of their wholesome qualities. Not to think of this deity, hey, please help me lah, I need more money lah, I need this, I need that. So it's not the Buddhist way of sort of recollecting devas. So in a way, we don't really pray or worship. The supposedly correct attitude is to think of their qualities. So for example, if you know the law of, let's say, this King Saka, then you can think of certain qualities. How is he reborn there? Maybe may I just take some bodhisattvas, for example, the Mahayana bodhisattvas. Maybe Kuan Yin, for example. So Kuan Yin may be quite popular. So the outstanding trait or the virtue of Kuan Yin is compassion. So when a person, let's say, they want to recollect a certain deity or figure, they need to think of their virtue. So for example, if a person want to think of Kuan Yin, they need to think of compassion, think of their compassion. So that's the way to increase one's merit and to make the mind more wholesome. So that's the idea. It's not the more you worship, the more selfish you get, then something is wrong. The more you worship, the more kinder you should get, or the more you recollect, you should become kinder, more selfless or wiser. So that's the indicator that you're on the right direction. Okay, so this is the end of my sharing. Okay, then we can move on to the next segment. We have 15 minutes more of presentation. Okay, because next month is actually the Vesak month. So we have probably, aside from today, one more theoretical lesson before Vesak Day. So Terence has requested me to give a talk on this topic. First, enlightenment of the Buddha, followed by these 7 weeks after the Buddha got enlightened. So I'll just share on the path or the journey of the Buddha's enlightenment. Next. Okay, anybody here have not heard of Buddha's life story before? Everybody heard of Buddha's life story before? Okay, maybe some of you have attended this class also. It's from the Morals class, the Palelai Buddhist Moral Buddha's Journey class. But never mind, I'll just share. So there are several references. So I'll just use this particular sutta, Arya Pariyasena Sutta, from Majjhima Nikaya 26, the Noble Search. So this is like the Buddha recollecting during his youth. So this was spoken after the Buddha got enlightened. So he recollect when he was still a prince, and how did he struggle, how did he find his way, what kind of things go through his mind and stuff like that. Okay, so I'll just read through. I too, monks, before my awakening, when I was an unawakened bodhisatta, being subject to myself to birth, sought what was likewise subject to birth. Being subject to aging, illness, death, sorrow, defilements. Right? So, the term here, unawakened bodhisatta. So if a person were to literally translate, bodhi means awaken, satta means being. Right? So normally in the Buddhist context, when we talk about bodhisatta, it's about beings who strive for enlightenment, and beings who strive for enlightenment. So in this case here, the Buddha mentioned unawakened bodhisatta. So usually in the Theravada suttas, in the main Nikayas especially, he will mention the term bodhisatta like usually his current lifetime. His current lifetime. As long as there's like an intention to search for awakening, then it's called a bodhisatta. Yeah. So that is the term he used. But somehow they extended the term to the Jataka tales and even the life stories and stuff like that of the previous births. They, no, at least in the traditional Buddhism, they call it bodhisatta as well. Okay, then the next paragraph. What if I, seeing the drawbacks of aging, illness, death, sorrow, defilements, were to seek the agingless, illnessless, deathless, sorrowless, unexcelled rest from the yoke, unbinding? Right? So anybody here have ever thought of, I go through, birth, aging, sickness, and death. Why don't we look away to overcome birth, aging, sickness, and death? Anybody here? Only one person. So the rest not interested in in practicing. Okay, so this is the main reflection, and this is not the only time when the Buddha sort of mentioned it. Before enlightenment, you need to reflect on it. After he got enlightened, the Buddha also taught, we call the 5 contemplations. Every Buddhist must reflect on 5 contemplations, be it a monk, a nun, layman, or laywomen. So this 5 is, I am subject to aging. Aging is unavoidable. So this is the first reflection. Second reflection, I am subject to illness. Illness is unavoidable. And the third one, I am subject to death. Death is unavoidable. Then the fourth one, I am subject to separation from all that is dear and appealing to me. Yeah? And the fifth one is about karma. Yeah? All beings are subject to karma. We reap what we sow. We know that's the thing we sort of go through in our meditation routine. So we try to incorporate these 5 reflections in a meditation routine. But of course, you can do it in your own way. So in this particular Upajjhatana Sutta, the 5 contemplations the Buddha mentioned, any disciple, even if it's a layperson, if they reflect consistently, they can even reach enlightenment. Reach enlightenment. So the Bodhisattva Gautama used this as his motivation to search for the truth, So he always looked at this benchmark indicator, agingless, whether is it subject to aging, illness and death, and so on. So very important, we remember this. So when we go through the different sort of journey, the ascetic practices we go through, then we ask the same question again. And then we can figure out why the Buddha decided not to continue those practice, because he used these questions as the benchmark. Okay, next slide. So at a later time, while still young, black-haired, young man endowed with the blessings of youth in the first stage of life, and while my parents, unwilling, were crying with tears streaming down their faces, I shaved off my hair and beard, put on the ochre robe, and went forth from the home life into homelessness. Right, so this is the life story. So the traditional account, or we call it the commentarial story account, will talk about the Buddha escaping from the palace when everybody is sleeping. There's a sudden mysterious sleeping gas that put everybody out to sleep, and he's managed to escape with his charioteer his horsemen, and eventually he shaved off his hair without anybody knowing, and asked his charioteer to inform the parents, inform everybody in the palace that he has left the palace and pursued his holy life. Of course, then there are various interpretations because the sutta is not very specific. They just mention shave off his hair while the parents were crying. So if you were to take it literally, they may not be knocked off by the sleeping gas. So they are still awake. They are aware of the son leaving the palace. They are crying. So again, there are different interpretation. But never mind, that's the past. But the fact is, he managed to leave the palace and went on this ascetic life. Okay, next. Okay, so when he went to this so-called ascetic life, of course, he'll be totally lost. He won't know who to follow. So you just go to the popular teachers. So at that time, probably the most or up and rising popular teachers are these Alara Kalama and Udaka Ramaputta. So he went to this teacher first, this Alara Kalama. So it's the ascetic that taught him this realm of nothingness. So realm of nothingness is formless concentration. You're going to talk about there are 8 levels of concentration, right? 4 form jhanas and these 4 formless concentrations. So if there are 8 in total, this realm of nothingness is the 7th. 7th. So considered very high level of concentration. And what happened is this Alara Kalama offered to lead their community together. So after this Bodhisattva Gautama, and because before he got enlightened, so we call him Bodhisattva Gautama. So Bodhisattva Gautama managed to achieve this realm of nothingness, and he managed to confirm with the teacher, this Alara Kalama, and Alara Kalama told him, okay, come, I agree, you have achieved it. Come, let's lead this group together. Let's be teachers together. And the Bodhisattva Gautama refused. He found that, hey, that's not the truth. So he managed to go to the other teacher, the other popular teacher, Uddaka Ramaputta, and taught him this dimension of neither perception nor non-perception, which is the highest formless concentration. So that's the 8th level of concentration. And this time around, he managed to achieve it. Right, the Bodhisattva Gautama achieved it. And once he confirmed with the teacher, and this Uddaka Ramaputta, instead of asking him to lead together, decided to say, okay, why don't you become the teacher? You lead the community. So it's a better offer than the previous teacher. But the Bodhisattva Gautama is not after position, he's more of seeking the truth. He wants to find the truth. So using the previous few so-called benchmark questions, whether can you overcome birth, aging, and stuff like that, he found that, hey, something is wrong. He cannot fulfill those questions. He decided to leave. Right. Okay. So let's go to the details from this Saccaka Sutta. So it's under Majjhima Nikaya 36. Okay. Next. Okay. So I just read. I went to Alara Kalama, and on arrival, said to him, "Friend Kalama, I want to practice in this Dhamma and discipline." He replied to me, "You may stay here, my friend. This Dhamma is such that an observant person can soon enter and dwell in his own teacher's knowledge, having realized it for himself through direct knowledge." So this is the ancient protocol you need to request to learn from a teacher. It's not suka-suka, attend, and that's it. So the Bodhisattva Gautama was very formal in the request. He was very direct. He went to the teacher he wanted to learn and asked him, right? Very interesting, the term, friend Kalama, because all of them are ascetics, because the Bodhisattva Gautama also shaved off his head, so he donned on the ascetic kind of attire. So everybody call each other as friend. Very interesting. So between ascetic to ascetic, before the Buddha passed away, everybody, even though they are practicing like different belief system or different religion, they call each other friend. So they call this friend Kalama. So only in this Maha Sutta, when the Buddha sort of about to pass away, he laid down this protocol. He said, after he passed away, all the monks, the Buddhist monks, should address each other differently. The senior monks can call the junior monks friend, while the junior monks cannot call the senior monks friend. And the junior monks have to call the senior monks Bante, venerable sir. So that's the more like respect kind of protocol. But before that, I think probably it's the custom in that time to call each other friend, regardless of seniority. Okay, then the third paragraph, it wasn't long before I quickly learned that Dhamma. As far as mere lip reciting and repetition, I could speak the words of knowledge. So it means that he learned the theory. He managed to learn the theory very well. So lip reciting and repetition. So so some people may give Dhamma talk very convincing because repeat many times. Lip reciting and repetition, like chanting, you rechant and chant over. You can close your eyes and you can memorize, you know what to say already. So likewise, if let's say I were to give Dhamma talk on the same topic over and over again, I can be very skilled. I can say the same thing. I can say it very convincingly, very masterfully. But whether I realize or not can be a totally different thing. Huh? So this Dhamma you have to realize for yourself. Okay, so what's the next phrase? The words of that elders, that I could affirm that I knew and saw, I along with others. So this point talks about theoretical knowledge, and he can confirm with the other senior practitioners about this theoretical knowledge. Everybody cannot fault him. Everybody agrees with his theoretical understanding. Okay, next. Okay, so I went to him and said, to what extent do you declare that you have entered and dwell in this Dhamma? When this was said, he declared the dimension of nothingness. Okay, so only when you are close enough to the teacher, then you can ask the teacher their attainment. Right? So being mastered the teachings very well, so this Alara Kalama find there's enough trust to share with him, share with the Bodhisattva Gautama on this attainment, yeah, on this state of mind called dimension of nothingness. So it wasn't long before I quickly entered and dwell in that Dhamma, having realized it for myself through direct knowledge. So in some Buddhist traditions, they call it oral transmission. Oral transmission. So oral transmission is different from oral tradition. Oral tradition was the previous slide. You're able to memorize and lip sync and recite theoretically. So that's oral tradition. Oral transmission means this one. You go to a teacher, the teacher will teach you the experiential part. Till what extent have they realized? So in this particular case, Alara Kalama taught the Bodhisattva Gautama this dimension of nothingness. Right? So this Bodhisattva Gautama achieved it. Then the last paragraph, I went to him and said, friend Kalama, is this the extent to which you have entered and dwell in this Dhamma, having realized it for yourself through direct knowledge? Then the teacher said, yes, my friend. Right, so this is not theory anymore. So this has got to do with probably mind-to-mind kind of contact, mind-to-mind experience. So if a person through just theoretical or superficial reading of these two statements, how can a person know whether you achieve it or not? It's a very deep state of concentration. So it is, I would call it mindfulness of external mind states. When the mind is calm enough, you're sensitive enough to sort of know the other person's state of mind. It's just like maybe like some Zen masters able to tell, okay, who is enlightened or who is not enlightened without interviewing, without asking you, hey, how many hours you sit, what kind of meditation object you use. So it's more of that kind of thing. So the Buddha and some of the chief disciples are able to do that also. Right? So that's the kind of mind, I won't say mind reading, maybe some mind reading, but we call it through mind contact. Okay, so I'll end the session here. Now it's 9:04. Any questions from the ground?
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
The dimension of nothingness, based on our current understanding, is it fourth jhana?
Dimension of nothingness, if you want to talk about jhanas, is beyond the fourth jhana. So there are four form jhanas, and there are four more higher formless concentrations. Yeah. So in the suttas, they are not called jhanas, but for the sake of simplicity, if let's say we want to call it jhanas, then we call it 8 jhanas. Then the nothingness would be the number 7. Mm.
And the deathless is number 8.
The neither perception, non-perception is number 8. And the Buddha's Nibbana is higher than number 8. Mm.
Okay.
So like in the previous lesson, the Ratana Sutta, they talk about the highest concentration. Only the Buddha or the enlightened beings can experience. So that's the beyond the number 8 one. So only enlightened beings can sort of experience it. Yeah?
Thank you.
So the term sounds very confusing and the name so long, and not neither perception, non-perception, and this nothingness and so on. So this is a state of experience. So only if a person sort of experience it, then the name will kind of make sense. And interestingly, these states are not really kind of taught commonly now, yeah, in the Buddhist community. It's not being taught how to differentiate, how to know whether is it that concentration or not. It's a bit like endangered or lost knowledge, really.
Bante,
Yep.
Bante, just now you say the Lord of the 33 gods,
Yep.
Lord Saka,
Mm-hmm.
is he the same as 𝐴𝐶𝐽?
I would say that is more like our modern day inference. Of course, the sutta won't mention it's the 𝐴𝐶𝐽 because 𝐴𝐶𝐽 is like from the Chinese culture or maybe from Taoism. Then that's their deity. I would say maybe somewhere close or probably an equivalent. Yeah.
Oh, that means how we refer to Lord Saka is 𝐴𝐶𝐽. It's the same as 𝐴𝐶𝐽.
I won't 100% confirm it's the same. I would say it's very similar because there are so many devas. So there's no way to confirm whether is it the same character or not.
Okay. And just now you say the 5 recollection, but
Yep.
they only got 3, 4, and 5. 3 is the recollection of a precept. 4th is the good deeds. 5 is the recollection of the devas. 1 and 2 is what, Bante?
Okay, the first 3 is actually recollection of the triple gems. Think of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So total there are 6.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Bante.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem.
Okay.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Okay, if no questions, we go for a 5-minute break and we'll come back later for this guided meditation. Huh? Okay, let's see who else has returned.
Bante, is a bodhisattva and bodhisattva the same?
Yes, in terms of language is different. The bodhisattva is the Romanized Sanskrit, whereas bodhisatta is the Romanized Pali. But being very different language, eventually it will mean very different thing. Bodhisattva would probably be the Mahayana version. So if you want to talk about strictly Theravada version, then we use bodhisatta.
Bodhisattva means before enlightenment, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So for Vesak Day, right? Actually, what are we celebrating for Vesak Day?
Yeah, generally probably is the 3 Buddhas' main key events, 3 key events. One is his birth, as once he got conceived and came to the world. So that's the birth, the Buddha's enlightenment, and number 3, his passing away. So these three key events.
Oh, okay.
So that's the Vesak days, or sometimes we call it the Buddha day. So in Buddhism, we have the triple gems, right? So there's a Buddha day, then there's a Dhamma day. So the Dhamma day will be in July. We call it the Asalha Puja. So that's the day when the Buddha taught his sort of the first sermon, the turning of the Dhamma wheel to the 5 ascetics. So that is the Dhamma day. And the Sangha day was already over, probably in February or March. That's the Magha Puja.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, no problem. Okay, any other issues? If no issues, then we can start the meditation. So I find this comfortable posture. Make sure the back is upright and the rest of the body relaxed. In the first phase of meditation, we are going to do is the impurities of body meditation. We are going to visualize all the parts of the body from head to toe, starting with the hairs. And we're going to wish all the hairs well and happy. So the visualization of the hairs is part of the mindfulness of the body practice, right mindfulness. And the sub-vocalization, we need to label wishing the hairs well and happy. That is part of right thought. And the repetition is called right effort. So we do not idle, just think of the image and that's it, total stillness. No, we need to keep generating right thought. Keep on wishing the hairs well and happy, move on to a new patch of hair, wish it well and happy. So the idea of not overstaying for too long is that the mind will drift and dramatize. Start to think of what kind of conditioner you use, what kind of shampoo, which salon you go and stuff like that. So we think of one patch, wish it well and happy, move on to a new patch. And then the more we wish the hairs well and happy, we can check the state of mind. Is the mind getting less stressful and less tension, or getting more tension and anxiety? If the mind gets calmer, it means you're on the right track. That's the indicator for right view. If you have lots of expectation, lots of craving, That means something is wrong with the reflection. When you reduce craving, you reduce suffering, you reduce tension and stress. Okay, and if the mind is quite settled, then that would be the minimum requirement for insight, for wisdom. So we can reflect that all these hairs go through birth, aging, sickness, and death. So that's the reflection the Bodhisattva used. So all these hairs, we can think of them growing and falling, many, many, many cycles. And the more we keep looping this image, we need to keep labeling impermanence or any word or phrase associated with impermanence. So you can call it birth and death, rising and falling. Just pick a favorite and keep repeating. And then we can ask ourselves, are these hairs truly self? As this sense of self, this selfishness, is it increasing or decreasing in intensity? And the more we reflect on impermanence, and we tell the hairs not to go through birth and death. So the next part of the body, we're going to think of the nails, fingernails and toenails. May they be well and happy. And all these nails go through birth, aging, sickness, and death. So you think of the nails growing and falling, many, many cycles. And as we keep looping this image, we can keep labeling impermanence. And we can ask ourselves, are these nails truly self? Can we tell the nails not to go through birth and death? So next we can think of the the teeth, or the teeth inside the mouth. May they be well and happy. All these teeth are subject to birth, aging, sickness, and death. So you think of the teeth growing and falling, many, many cycles. Even though the teeth fall off twice, we can keep repeating. And the more we keep looping the image, we can keep labeling impermanence. And we can ask ourselves, are these teeth truly self? Can we tell the teeth not to go through birth and death? So next we can think of the skin from head to toe, every patch of skin. May they be well and happy. Then we can now think of impermanence of the skin, or the skin go through birth, aging, sickness, and death. So we think of the skin growing and falling many, many cycles. And as we keep looping the image, we can keep labeling impermanence. Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are this skin truly self? Can we tell the skin not to go through birth and death? So next we are going to familiarize ourselves with the four elements and the earth, fire, wind, water elements. So in this routine, there is no need to visualize, no need to imagine, purely feeling the sensations throughout the whole body. Whichever sensations are strongest that appear, we just make peace with them, wish them well and happy. So the earth element represents any hard or soft sensations. Fire is hot and cold, the wind is fast, slow movements, and water is the moist or dry sensations. So there's no need to deliberately create them, no need to control, no fighting, no rejecting. We just make peace with them. Whatever appear naturally by themselves, we just wish them well and happy. New sensation appear well and happy. New sensation appear well and happy. So all these are real-time evidence. No need to imagine or conjure anything. So the mind should also settle down to more or less the same kind of calmness or similar calmness. We're just wishing it well and happy. So this calmness, we call it the baseline emotion. If it's settled and cannot settle any further, then that's your current baseline emotion. Why we call it baseline? Because like in a science experiment, we need a control sample. So this baseline emotion has no jhanas, no vipassana yet. So we take note of this neutral state of mind. What's the emotion like compared with other states of mind? Okay, so having said that, now we are going to cultivate this boundless loving kindness. We are going to wish all beings in all directions well and happy, above, below, and all across, all directions. So there's no need to purposely push the mind. We let it extend naturally by itself. However far it wishes to extend doesn't matter. And in that widened sphere of attention, whatever sensation we can detect, we're going to perceive all beings made of these elements using the lowest common denominator, no discrimination, don't need to visualize whatever sensation appear. We're going to wish all beings well and happy. And all beings are made of these elements. So it doesn't matter, the sensations can be appearing inside the body, or you may feel it outside the body, near or far. As long as you detect something, may all beings be well and happy. So keep on wishing, may all beings be well and happy. Okay, if all the conditions are right, you have the right thought, right effort, and everything, it will trigger this right concentration. So usually this loving kindness will enter the first level of concentration. So normally the indicator would be any increment of joy and happiness or greater sense of peace compared to the baseline emotion. And regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing all beings well and happy. Treat everything else as a passing phase. And now we're going to add some insight. Now we're going to reflect on impermanence. Yeah? So all the sensations you observe, we're going to label it as impermanent. New sensation detected, impermanence. New sensation, impermanence. So you can observe the arising and falling, depending on how sharp the mind, or just arising only, or falling only, or both. But the main thing is to label it impermanence. Okay, so for those who have been following, if the joy and happiness start to disappear, and one may experience this neutral and refreshing kind of emotion, so we call that the equanimity associated with the fourth level of concentration. And regardless of what you experience, keep on reflecting on impermanence, treat everything else as a byproduct. Okay, then we move on to the second sublime state, which is compassion. So for compassion, we are going to wish may all beings be free from suffering. So using the non-discrimination approach, all beings, regardless of their health status, whether they are sick or healthy, rich or poor, as long as they cling on to the aggregates, they cling on to the elements, and that will result in their suffering, tension and suffering. So whenever we detect any sensation that is a condition for clinging, so we can reduce that clinging by keep on coming back to the right thought, keep on wishing all beings free from suffering. So the whole idea is not to proliferate and dramatize any scenario. So there's already clinging and being sucked into the new samsaras you create. So we avoid these unnecessary sufferings by coming back, right effort, right thought. May all beings be free from suffering. New sensation appear. May all beings be free from suffering. If all the conditions are right, you have all the right thought, right effort, and everything, and one may experience the second level of concentration, denoted by the emotion of joy or happiness. So if your compassion can feel joyful, then that's the sign for this concentrative kind of compassion. And regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing may all beings be free from suffering. And then we add some wisdom, some insight to the routine. We're going to reflect how to overcome the suffering, which is to not cling on these aggregates, so we can shake off the clinging with impermanence. So every sensation appears, we're going to keep labeling impermanence. And if the joy and happiness start to disappear, one may experience, instead of the equanimity from before, this time around it should feel more blank or spaced out. And we call that experience the perception of infinite space. So that is the first formless concentration. And regardless of what you experience, keep on reflecting on impermanence to avoid getting lost in space. And due to time constraint, and before we conclude the session, same gentle reminder: in all activities, be it standing, sitting, walking, or lying down, we can be mindful of the sublime states or mindful of impermanence. And with that, we can gently open our eyes, formally end the session, but informally still can generate right thought. Okay, any problems or questions from anybody? Okay, if there's no issues, then we end with the conclusion chant. Okay, Anumodana. Akasatha ca Bhumata Devanaga Mahidika Punyang tang anumoditva Cirang rakantu loka sasanang Etavata ca amhehi Sampadang punya sampadang Sabbe deva sabbe puta Sabbe sata anumodantu Sabba sampati siddhya. Dedication of marriage to departed. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Aspiration. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana patiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And we end off by bowing to the Buddha 3 times. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Okay, any announcements from Terence? No announcements. Okay, then again, same advertisement, upcoming retreat in June. And that's about it. So see you all next lesson. So next week will be the private sharing. So the Zoom will be same timing, but not live stream. So anybody wants an interview or ask any question that you think is more personal, you may come on the next week's session. Okay, all right, good night.